Aukotis atsargiai tam.
Tai, mėly svečiai. Ladies and gentlemen, journalists, let us now begin the press conference to cover the Baltic Assembly session. We will begin with the speeches by our guests, to be followed by the Q&A session from journalists. So let me now give the floor to Mr. Andrius Kupčinskas, President of the Baltic Assembly. Good afternoon, journalists, colleagues. It is an honor for me to preside over the Baltic Assembly. Since our presidency is coming to a close, in the afternoon session we will hand over the presidency to Latvia. In the meantime, I would like to take the opportunity to appreciate the achievements of the Baltic Assembly, as well as the achievements achieved through our cooperation with the Baltic Council of Ministers. This morning we have already discussed a number of different achievements, and we focused on the plan of implementation of recommendations. We've also signed our joint statement, so let me briefly review those achievements, and then my colleagues will do the same by overviewing the achievements of the Baltic Assembly this year. So let me first of all note that this was an unusual year. This year we celebrated the 35th anniversary of the Baltic Way, when we joined hands in a human chain 35 years ago. We've also celebrated the 20th anniversary of NATO and EU membership. Both these anniversaries represent our very successful integration into European and transatlantic structures. However, support for Ukraine was among the most topical issues. We were focused on assisting Ukraine in winning against this war of aggression. So we discussed a lot our support for Ukraine this year. Certainly, we focused as well on our cooperation with the Nordic countries, especially bearing in mind Sweden's and Finland's accession to NATO. So our cooperation has went beyond the cooperation between the three Baltic states. So we are truly grateful to our colleagues from the Nordic countries for their friendship and for the cooperation in addressing matters of joint interest. I would also like to say that within the Baltic Assembly, we also focused a great deal on energy and critical infrastructure. Over the recent years, we've seen the emergence of different provocations against these infrastructures. So we focused on these issues, highlighting the importance of cooperation on the protection of the energy infrastructure, as well as the protection of our intranets and the crucial cables. When addressing the energy issues of the three Baltic states, we've underlined the importance of speedy disconnection from the Braille network, as well as the importance of strengthening our energy capacities. We have identified our key objectives in the energy strategies of each of our states. In addition to that, we've also focused on military mobility, which is an issue closely related to the development of the projects Rail Baltica and Via Baltica. Hopefully, we will be able to reach greater clarity in terms of the upcoming European funding for these projects. And I would like to also take the opportunity to express my gratitude to my colleagues, as well as members of the Prezidium, Janis and Timo, for their cooperation in the Prezidium of the Baltic Assembly. I wish all the best in continuing our efforts in the next year, as well as all the best in undertaking the challenges that we will have to deal with next year. Let me now give the floor to my colleagues now. Janis, please, the floor is yours.
I also will use possibility to speak in my native language, in Latvian. Paldies, President kungs, par ieskatu.
Mr. President, thank you very much for an insight into the main activities of the Baltic Assembly in 2024. You already outlined many things, but there are some additional ideas that I would like to touch upon and that we discussed today in the meeting of the 3 Baltic parliamentary speakers and the Prezidium of the Baltic Assembly. We can be glad that the Baltic Assembly and the Baltic Council of Ministers and the meetings of the speakers of the parliaments of the Baltic states, according to Lauri Husar, are becoming very much in demand. What I'm saying is that other countries, parliamentarians from abroad, also want to join our club, the Baltic Club. And why so? The Baltic states, within numerous formats, including international, interparliamentary formats, are becoming very active tone setters and pursuing different interests, which is one of our main tasks in the current complicated geopolitical environment. We need to be able to provide a clear direction to the goals that are important and relevant to our countries. As you mentioned, Latvia will assume the presidency of the Baltic Assembly next year, and for this reason, it would only make sense if I would explain how Latvia is intending to further work on the topics that we started last year, this year. Previously, Estonia was the presiding country, and this year it was Lithuania. Because it is very important to bring our efforts to result and to fruition. Therefore, we can be very proud that we have established a network of automatic academic diploma recognition between the Baltic states and the Benelux states. In addition, within the Baltic Sea Parliamentary Conference, we initiated establishing a new working group about the energy security of the entire Baltic Sea region, and a representative from Latvia is also chairing this working group. It is great that we have started and are continuing and pursuing various initiatives in various formats. If we look at the Latvian presidency at the Baltic Assembly, we will work on innovation, sustainability, security, and the 3 main priorities for the Latvian presidency are, first of all, a safeguarded, prosperous, and innovative Baltic region, trying to find resources for achieving this. The second priority is interconnected energy, transport, and digital policy. In our view, our Baltic states need to coordinate these policies, and we will try to achieve this in our efforts. The third main priority for the Latvian presidency is related to the Baltic Sea, where the name Baltic States also comes from, namely, how we can achieve a protected, biodiverse, and sustainable Baltic Sea. In 2025, the Baltic Assembly will remain committed to enhancing cooperation between Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, deepening partnerships in key areas as the ones mentioned before and others as well. Let me highlight some of the most important topics. As mentioned by my colleague, Mr. Kupčinskas, mentioned that Ukraine has been high on our agenda. And Ukraine has been a topical issue ever since 2014. and we remember the memorable meeting in Poland after the annexation of Crimea, where the Baltic states took a clear stand. And ever since then, we have stood for Ukraine's territorial integrity and support for Ukraine and territorial integrity. And no matter the format, we have always stood up for Ukraine and explained how important these issues are, not only for the Ukrainian people, but also for our countries and for a broader European context. But this is all based on our joint conviction that the principles of freedom will always prevail over tyranny and oppression. Next year, we are also planning to work on improving the collective security of our own countries. For this reason, in the Baltic Assembly committee meetings, we plan to address topics such as maritime cybersecurity, fostering cooperation of the military industry, and building societal resilience and patriotism, in particular among the younger generation, in the context of conscription, which is a very topical issue for all the three Baltic states. Moreover, we will discuss ways to integrate comprehensive defense elements into the Baltic education systems. Another topic high on our next year's agenda is the protection, biodiversity, and sustainability of the Baltic Sea. In addition, the Baltic Assembly will focus on opportunities to strengthen cross-border cooperation in environmental protection, with a particular emphasis on reducing pollution and safeguarding living organisms. Furthermore, to ensure good ecological situation in the Baltic Sea, we will promote cooperation in sustainable agriculture and forestry, and these topics will also be covered in 2025. For sure, we're committed to active involvement in addressing the challenges that have impacted the implementation of the Rail Baltica project. Every country is facing different problems, and in the Latvian Parliament, we have established a parliamentary investigative committee chaired by MP Andrius, who also addressed the Rail Baltica issue just now during the Baltic Council. Indeed, Rail Baltica is closely linked to military mobility, economic aspects, and Baltic unity as such. And I truly hope and I wish that our trust in Baltic unity remains as an important psychological matter for all our countries. Another topic is the improvement of healthcare data exchange among the Baltic states. And we are planning to maintain strict parliamentary oversight over an array of important issues. And one of such issues is based on available technology provided by CERN to establish advanced particle therapy center in the Baltic states. We need to perform analysis as to the viability of this project, and this requires investments, also upfront investments of 1 million euros. In addition, we are supporting the establishment of a new fund, the Baltic Science Fund, that could help resolve various issues specifically relevant to our region. And we need to provide support mechanisms for relevant research in our countries. In addition, we will continue our oversight over the establishment of a Baltic energy strategy. And just now in the Baltic Council, we also discussed the importance of establishing such a strategy. As you see, we have great plans for 2025, and Latvia is ready to take active steps to significantly strengthen and enhance the cooperation between the Baltic Assembly and the Baltic Council of Ministers, because there are topics where our opinions diverge. We firmly believe that regular and active collaboration between the legislative and executive branches serves as a powerful catalyst for the security and development of our region. Thank you very much to Lithuania for your successful presidency of the Baltic Assembly, which will end quite soon after just a few more discussions, but you have truly accomplished a lot. Thank you so much.
Dabar kviečiame pasisakyti Baltijos Asamblėjos vicepirmininką.
Thank you very much, and I would now like to give the floor to Mr. Timas Suslovas, Vice President of the Baltic Assembly.
Tere tulemast kõigile.
Thank you and welcome to this press conference. I'm happy to be here and I also take the opportunity to speak in Estonian. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the Estonian delegation. You have all worked very hard in this Baltic Assembly and we will continue this important work the next year. I am happy that the Baltic Assembly has played such a huge role in recent years with different initiatives, and our voice has been heard very far, and this will definitely echo also in the future. What's my experience over this couple of years I've been here is that different parliamentarian, different cooperation formats of parliaments seek the kind of formats as Baltic Assemblies, and therefore I'm very happy to be in this team. So I thank my excellent colleagues. Together with the Latvian and Lithuanian delegations, we have reached these initiatives that we feel that are most important for our region. Janis just mentioned a couple of these. Definitely the Baltic Research Fund is definitely one where we will do more cooperation in the future. We have many projects that we have been able to carry out together. And two that I want to mention is Rail Baltica and Via Baltica. Definitely others will be coming, some of which we mentioned. But what's most important is that we can make people closer to each other. I think that will also be our role in the future. When this year we celebrated the 35th anniversary of the Baltic Way, I'm particularly happy to remember those times and the unity that the Baltic Assembly also symbolizes. And here I'm very happy to thank Andrius for his for the excellent year and for his strong work and commitment. That was a year that was not easy. I think Lithuania experienced all the possible elections. And I'd like to say, Janis, all the success for the next year. That will definitely also not be easy because some very important topics are on the table and we will continue our work. So in conclusion, I'm happy to be here with colleagues like these. And these are special moments, and our cooperation will only become closer in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we would now like to give the floor to Mr. Gabrielius Landsbergis, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Lithuania.
Baltijos Ministrų Tarybai stiprinant.
Thank you, colleagues. We have been working during our presidency towards supporting Ukraine, towards increasing connectivity in our region. Russia has been testing the West in the East. It has been investing in its military, and it has been preparing for confrontation with NATO, and it has been accordingly preparing its society. Reinforcing transatlantic relations is very important for the Baltic states. We have agreed that permanent U.S. presence in our region is important for rigid Russia's deterrence. Our aim is to maintain a common voice, and Ukraine's victory is a strategic goal of the Western world. It's an existential matter not only for us, but also for the West. the Baltic states have to make sure that victory can only be achieved on Ukrainian terms. Our aim is to provide all the necessary military and humanitarian support for Ukraine. Victory requires specific needs. First of all, we must eradicate the red lines being drawn by some states. We have to make sure that our allies overcome the fear to defeat Russia. We have to make sure that Ukraine is enabled to target military targets in Russia. Lithuania has already contributed to the development of a Polonitov drone base. We have to make sure that we fight against the support that the intermediaries provide to Russia. We have to seek full accountability of Russia's leadership for its crimes in Ukraine. And we should not remain calm, and that's why we have to request accountability for Belarus's actions, for the crimes that are against the international norms. We have to seek support from our international partners. Europe's security is not full without the security of Ukraine. It is in our interest. This year, as we chaired the Baltic Assembly, we focused a lot on the security of the Baltic region, focusing on the protection of critical infrastructure and synchronization of our grids with the European continental network. We have achieved major breakthrough, and the Baltic states are now in its final stage to disconnect from the Braille network. We're looking forward to completing the Rail Baltica and Via Baltica crucial projects, and we have to ensure the vital funding for these crucial projects. I'm grateful to the ministers who have come to Lithuania this year, and I wish all the best to Latvia in its presidency of the Baltic Assembly next year. Thank you very much, and we would now like to give the floor to Ms. Inesė Lybinia-Egnerė, Latvian Minister of Justice.
Thank you. First, I would like to express my appreciation to Lithuania for its presidency year in the Baltic Assembly and the Baltic Council of Ministers. Next year, Latvia will be taking over the presidency in these both of these organizations, and I would just like to shortly outline the main priorities because Mr. Janis Vucanas already gave a very good insight into what our priorities will be. So, what are these three directions? So, security, resilience, support to Ukraine, and improving the connectivity in our region, as well as energy security and attracting investment. So, this is the work that we will be continuing, and that has already been started by the Lithuanian presidency. It has been carried out both by the Baltic Assembly and the Baltic Council of Ministers. It is a unique format that has resulted in today's discussions, where the parliamentarians from the three Baltic states, together with the government representatives from the three Baltic states, joined in discussions and exchanged views and visions, and came up with solutions or potential ideas for key issues. Here we did not see difference between coalition and opposition parties, because this is the format where we all can work towards common goals and see actual results implemented. One of the discussions that was truly elaborated today was, of course, regarding the fact that regardless of the situation in Ukraine, where the aggressor state, Russia, is carrying out a brutal war, Russia will remain a threat, the main threat for the entire NATO family, as well as the EU. And the way we will be able to coordinate our response, to coordinate our actions among the three Baltic states, to show our position within NATO, within the EU, will be crucial. That is why the Baltic Assembly and Baltic Council of Ministers format is truly of importance. We need to stand united. We need to be decisive to gain victory over Russia, to contain Russia, and to hold accountable those senior officials that have been committing crimes. That is why I need to establish this special tribunal to make this decision as soon as possible to show that such violations of international law are not acceptable in the 21st century and they need to be punished swiftly. Thank you.
Dėkoju. Dabar Estijos užsienio.
Thank you very much. And now we give the floor to Mr. Margusas Cahkna, the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Estonia.
I used the opportunity to talk in the beautiful Estonian. That's a rare opportunity for me. It's a great pleasure to me to take part in the 30th Baltic Council of Ministers. Gabrielius Landsbergis has been leading it this year, and we have worked very hard under the Lithuanian leadership with solving the strategic issues and also raising the strategic issues. Maybe we often don't understand that Russia's aggression against Ukraine has increased the importance of Baltic states around the world, and the responsibility that lies on us, not for our own countries and our own nations, but more broadly, has been reflected in the daily cooperation of the Baltic Assembly and Baltic Council of Ministers. I tell you that for a long time it seemed, the Baltic cooperation, it seems to have gone into a hibernation and everyone seemed to have been working for themselves. But the last 2-3 years, and maybe even from the year 2014, since Crimea onwards, it has shown us that we have great many common topics that we can solve trilaterally. And also in raising our strategic issues, our voice has been greater together than separately. I thank Lithuania for this year, and I wish all the success to Latvia for next year. Now, Russia's aggression against Ukraine for all three countries has been an existential issue, because on national levels, we need to stand for international law and order, because this is what our countries have been founded on. We cannot give an inch. It's very important that over this year we have agreed on many great issues concerning support for Ukraine, whether it's 0.25% of the GDP for military aid, be it joint investments and support to help Ukraine survive the winter, and maybe the energy system where we have made great strides. But also we see, and also we rebuild together, not only the future security guarantees for Ukraine, but also the security infrastructure for our whole region. And that's part of this is making sure that Ukraine is integrated in the EU and NATO. And that's not only to support Ukraine, but to support and strengthen the security of our whole region. One new topic in Baltic cooperation has been North Baltic cooperation. After Finland and Sweden joined NATO, this cooperation on the governmental level has become very close, and I see it working also on the parliamentary level. This is a historical change and gives so much more to our region in terms of security, but also economic cooperation, which is also part of our security. So I wish Latvia all the success in guiding the Nordic Baltic cooperation. Now, our cooperation trilateral when we look at energy policy more broadly, has made great strides. And here I would like to really thank Lithuania and Minister of Foreign Affairs Gabrielius Landsbergis for being able to bring the synchronization of our energy systems with continental European systems earlier. This wasn't easy for us, but all three of us together, we managed to bring it forward, and our cooperation has been smooth, and it would be nice to be free of dependence from Russian systems. Also, a new topic that we need to continue with is common economic cooperation, particularly when we look at our defense industries. This is a big challenge for the whole of Europe, but we have common initiatives and joint procurements in the Baltic states already, and these are important not for all of us, but more broadly, and these are also some things that maybe attract investments to us. And in conclusion, I would also like to touch upon a topic which is not, I'd like to say that all different conflicts are linked around the world. These are not, they might seem regional, but right now the world is so globalized. Right now, even in the Baltic debate, we did not concentrate purely on how and whether we will finally complete Rail Baltic, but we looked at the role of the Baltic states in a more global perspective. Thank you.
We're grateful to our guests, and we have only time for one question. And please indicate who the question is addressed to. My name is Paulus. I'm from BNS News Agency. My question goes to the ministers regarding Donald Tusk's plan for asylum seekers, whether or not Lithuania, Latvia are considering such plans, and perhaps you would join Poland in establishing a regional plan as such.
Yes, I will use the opportunity to speak in Latvian. So, unequivocally, hybrid threats on our external borders from Belarus and from Russia have shown that the migration policies that we have had previously are not ready to tackle such challenges. That is why we need to abide by international law regarding the rights of asylum seekers. We need to find a good solution regarding how to tackle such hybrid threats and what are the measures that states could be implementing to protect their borders. Currently, we have assessed the example set by Poland that it has submitted to the Council in Brussels. It has been widely discussed in that format, and that is why we need to come to an agreement, especially in this region, that the EU needs to have a specific solution, a specific way to tackle these specific cases and give the states the right to protect their security, their territorial integrity, and the citizens of their countries. That is of importance. We need to find a lawful solution not on the national scale, but at the EU level.
Mažai ką galiu pridėti prie.
Well, I can add very little to what my colleague has already said. If Lithuania identifies the reasons for asylum seekers coming to our state, we are then able to identify who are seeking asylum for other reasons than political or economical. We have tried to identify those reasons for their coming to Lithuania since the very beginning of those attacks. And we tried to identify those who are coming for economic reasons and differentiate them from those who are coming here for other reasons. And we try to fulfill our obligations regarding to the granting of asylum to those who are seeking it for the right reasons. It would be difficult to say now what the European Commission's position will be regarding Poland's plan. I think we should stand by and see where that discussion regarding Poland's plan will take us to. We are a country that respects the rule of law, and we have to function within those principles that we abide by. Thank you very much. Thank you to our guests, and I would like to invite the ministers to rush to their vehicles since they are leaving.